Okay, so hello, hi, whoever's watching this, whoever's got nothing to do today. Thank you for stopping by. I have an assignment to do, and I actually cancelled streaming today because I was like, yeah, I've got assignments to do. Which, in fairness, I do have to get around to later this evening. I'm doing this quite early in the afternoon, but I was binging the new JCS episode about Sarah. You should go check that out because it's fucking bizarre. It's really good. But I'm on a bit of a binge right now, so I thought, hey, if I'm gonna sit around watching some JCS, why not record some of it? For the clout of reacting to JCS psychology. I'm a big fan of his channel. I really love it. I've always got a bit of a how do you say it? Penchant. Always got a bit of a soft spot for sort of crime documentaries. But this one's especially, as a channel, is great because it focuses on crime interrogation, which is quite a niche. Yeah, I've already watched like 10 minutes of this, but we'll start from the beginning. I also want to clarify, of course, I'm going to be talking over this, going to be pausing a lot. So if you want a more flowing, smooth viewing experience, go to the JCS Criminal Psychology channel and go watch that. I will also put a shameless plug down there for the video essay I did for it, like going on almost 2 years now. What is it? We're in March. So 1.5 years ago, I did a video for JCS. But yeah, anyway, without further ado, let's start watching this because we've got 42 minutes to get through. So.
All right. Did you say you did want water, didn't you?
It's okay.
Yeah, grab me some water real quick. I need to get some stuff together here. That's my card. I know I introduced myself to you at your house, but my name is Lisa Reeves, okay? And I am a detective here at the Charlottesville Police Department.
Okay.
So before I want to talk to you, I want to make sure you do understand your rights, okay? And that way I can explain to you what's going on and all that good stuff. Do you understand? You understand that? Okay. Today's date is May the 3rd, 2010. The current time is, all right, your first name is George?
Yes.
Georg.
Uh-oh.
I didn't. There's no way I didn't do it. No way. Why did you guys come in and say you were searching for an assault?
I never said anything about an assault.
Someone came in this morning.
I never mentioned to you anything. Just told you we're investigating something. Wanted to know.
Investigating so.
Do you want me to call anybody for you, George?
It's an interesting concept to think of how you might respond to what would normally be an easy question, especially during a circumstance where it becomes a terrifying dilemma. We ask that you contemplate this question while you put yourself in George's position, but not before you grasp the context of what brought him to this moment.
I just want to check I am recording. I just want to make sure that okay, thank God. I thought I wasn't. I was like, I don't want to get 20 minutes through this, and I haven't been recording. Okay, continue.
It begins with 22-year-old sports scholar Yardley Love, a star lacrosse player at the University of Virginia. She is captured in this photograph playing in the second-to-last game of the season, clearly aware of the obstacles that lie in front of her, yet continuing to move forward, which is the circumstantial detail that turned this picture into a symbol for the globally recognized organization that would be founded in her memory. This would be the last photograph taken that day.
I enjoy watching these videos, but of course you always have to be mindful of like these are actual tragedies, so you don't want to fetishize it too much. So that's why I love watching this stuff because there's a morbid intrigue to it, but it is tragic what happened, and that should always be remembered. There are real people on the other side of it. I don't want to be one of the white women podcast people that are like harassing victims or family members of victims of violent crime because it intrigues me to know about violent crime. I don't want to be that person. But anyway, sorry, I'll shut up.
Capturing Yardley's last embrace with her head coach Julie Myers. Both were unaware this exact moment would soon be on the national front pages. On May 3, 2010, at roughly 2:15 a.m., Yardley's roommate returned from a night out to their off-campus apartment. Upon entering, she saw that Yardley's bedroom had been broken into, at which point she rushed inside to find her unresponsive on the mattress. She had blood coming out of her nose and severe bruising across the right side of her face. But the most alarming thing was that she wasn't waking up. Her friend called 911, who instantly guided her through the steps of CPR, which was then taken over by paramedics who arrived on the scene 4 minutes later. But their attempts at revival were unsuccessful, and Yardley was pronounced dead at exactly 2:47 a.m. At 2:53 that same morning, criminal investigator Lisa Reeves woke up to a phone call from the sheriff's office. By 2:59, she had arrived at Yardley's apartment leading the investigation, and by 3:50, confirmed that she had her first person of interest, which was 22-year-old George Hughley V, Yardley's ex-boyfriend, and the next several hours were spent gathering information before she knocked at his front door. She found out that George was a fifth-generation heir to a very wealthy American family, whose roots lay in lumber dating back to the 1900s. He was educated at Landon Prep, a prestigious all-boys private school in Bethesda, Maryland, with annual tuition fees of up to $50,000. George was the star player of the lacrosse team and became an All-American athlete. This led to a full scholarship at the University of Virginia, where he remained a key player in the starting lineup, and where he would also meet, then spark a romance with fellow lacrosse player Yardley Love. They dated for almost 2 years.
Hughley and Love's relationship was an on-again, off-again one, where they cheated on each other throughout and that tempers flared both ways.
What was going on with these two young people? What may have led someone to do what happened? These are just a completely unbelievable set of facts.
Everybody watched the relationship. People were really troubled by it. They were scared for her. Nobody knew what to do.
Oh, no.
Yardley ended the relationship in 2010, just 2 weeks before graduation. 9 days later, she was found dead in her bedroom. And that same morning, George Hughley would hear a knock at it. 9 days later, Yardley ended the relationship in 2010, just 2 weeks before graduation. 9 days later, she was found dead in her bedroom. And that same morning, George Hughley would hear a knock at his front door. He opened to Detective Lisa Reeves, who was dressed in civilian clothing. She introduced herself as a police officer, but mentioned nothing of the crime. She simply stated that she was conducting an investigation that could benefit from his presence at the sheriff's office. George's response was to lethargically put on his flip-flops, then walk over to the passenger side door of her unmarked police car and let himself in. Somewhat bewildered, Lisa got in and drove them to the police station a few minutes away without talking. It was around then when she noticed bruising on his knuckles and cuts on his forearm, at which point George was no longer a person of interest. He was the prime suspect.
There's one thing I want to say. I was talking to someone else about this and I said it later. It was like 10-15 minutes into the video. But take this guy, right? How minted was his life going to be? This guy had, and this isn't the primary tragedy here. Like, he deserves to go to jail for killing a woman for what? For maybe being a little bit unfaithful. That's, you know. He went to a prep school, like a very high-end prep school. He was an heir to an extremely rich family, and he was a star lacrosse player. And not only was he such a piece of shit that he took this woman's life because they broke up. I mean, he's a decent looking guy. He would find someone else, but no, he had to kill someone. But also secondarily, imagine throwing away all this opportunity that you got because you got like a lucky fucking a lucky roll of the dice, more so than anyone else, and you throw it away because you wanted to take someone else's life. It's so fucking disgusting. It's so awful. Because think about not just like all the great life he could have had, like all the great stuff he could have done for other people as well. Although me saying this, like, if you're gonna beat a woman to death for sleeping with someone else, then I'll be honest with you, you are never gonna be, that's a selfish thing. It's an extremely selfish thing. It's monstrous, but it's also selfish. So he was never gonna use that money for good or anything. And you're gonna hear how this guy talks. I don't like to diss people's, how someone talks or any sort of, characteristics they can't change. But the way this guy talks is fucking irritating, man.
All right. Did you say you did want water, didn't you? I know I introduced myself to you at your house, but my name is Lisa Reeves. Today's date is May the 3rd, 2010. The current time is No, I can't tell on that one. 7:52,
My
okay?
drama papers too.
What's that?
My drama's papers too, right now.
I saw a comment saying,
Alright,
like,
your first
imagine
name
if
is
he had got
George?
to finish
Yes.
it.
Right away,
working
you'll come
well.
to notice that George is oblivious to the gravity of his situation, and it would be very safe to assume that he at this moment is unaware that Yardley has died. He seems to believe that he's in as much trouble as he would be sitting in a principal's office, perhaps for getting in a fight at class or on the lacrosse field, and the sooner he provides a sanitized version of the truth, the sooner he'll get to go home. This, of course, ties in perfectly with the interrogator's opening strategy, which we've labeled warmth for the sake of this video. She will downplay the severity of his situation to a considerable degree, while maintaining a friendly temperament with a sympathetic undertone. She needs the suspect to feel safe and secure for the time being, as the less cautious he is, the more information he's likely to give away. Then as soon as he locks himself into one particular storyline, the pressure can commence, which often leads to a suspect being laden with panic and contradictions.
Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before questioning and have one present during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be provided for you. And if you're willing to talk to us now, you have the right to stop talking anytime.
It feels quite shitty to value my own self-preservation. Like, say, for example, something awful had happened to a family member or, like, a close friend of mine. If the police want to talk to me, I'd, of course, cooperate, because despite my opinions on the police, of course, no one is saying there shouldn't be people going around solving murders, so I would cooperate to help get this murder solved. That being said, I'm talking to a fucking attorney. Like, I can't trust that the police are not going to try and set something on me. Absolutely, I'm talking to an attorney. Which, again, it always feels shitty to be worrying about my own state when talking about someone who's just died or something, but, like, I don't know. You can never trust it, man.
George has two options here. Option 1 is to remain silent, then allow his father to get him the most expensive attorneys in the country. He would then have years to examine the evidence, evaluate the many options available, and then construct the most self-preserving storyline with world-renowned experts in criminal defense before they present it to a jury. Unfortunately for George, he takes option 2, but before he does, rewatch the flawlessly reassuring manner in which he's given the final piece of the Miranda warning.
And if you're willing to talk to us now, you have the right to stop talking anytime. Got it?
Yep.
Awesome. Just need your signature there, that you understand your rights and are willing to talk to us. And the time now is 7:53. All right. Let's kind of start. I'm going to kind of ask you some questions, and like I said, we'll explain things a little bit later. Tell me about your day yesterday.
Played golf with our parents. It was a father-son. Good event. I went to dinner with my dad and my two buddies, and then went home, went to the bar for like a little while. Then I went over to talk to Yardley, and
Who's Yardley?
Yardley is my former girlfriend.
Okay.
Which this whole thing's about, which I understand.
You see, I don't get this, because I don't know if anything was said beforehand, or this is his way of trying to, because earlier they were talking about him sanitizing the story, and him being forthcoming, like, maybe implies, oh, he's innocent, because why would you admit to that? But, like, this, not only is this the start of a downward spiral that seals his fate, why would you admit that, right? Like, it's early in the morning, and, you know, why would you not? I don't want to sound like I'm rooting for him, and the issue here is, oh, he didn't lie well enough, that's why he got caught, because he deserves to get caught, he's a piece of shit. But I'm just thinking, like, why would you not, you know, why would you be so dumb? Why would you not lean into, hey, I'm tired, so I'm not going to act like I remember anything, or not saying to be like, oh, I don't remember what happened, but more so just, like, letting them take the lead on it, because you're being so forthcoming and so forward about it. Like, you're really throwing yourself into the fray there, man. Like, and also, why would you not lie? Why? We'll see. We'll see the stupid shit he says.
George has now initiated the investigative subject matter himself. It's the perfect opening scenario for the interrogator because she's given nothing away, making it more likely for him to reveal details that will contradict the evidence.
When I went over to talk to Yardley, I was like, Yardley,
It's a lovely name, Yardley. I like that.
Already totally freaked out.
By the way, we're about to see a work of art here. He's about to say some of the stupidest shit that just implicates him.
Like a few days ago, and we haven't talked since, and I was just gonna go talk to her.
Yardley slept with another lacrosse player from North Carolina the week before, which is what he just referred to.
And she was already like freaking out. Like, you can't come in, you can't come in. And I was like, I'm like just trying to talk.
Look how many times it says like.
The investigation team obviously had no way of knowing this, and George has now confessed to the crime of second-degree trespass. More importantly, however, he's just confessed to initiating the supposed confrontation. He now can't say that he was somehow tricked or misled into that situation. He knowingly stepped into it, and the critical fact he can actually recognize and remember this will be used against him repeatedly in the future.
And she started being getting all really defensive. She was already on the defensive edge, and I was like, listen, I'm not here to I'm just here to talk to you. And she got all
look how many times he's saying
sat up,
look at this. Jesus Christ.
If it was in this corner, she was up against the wall, and I was we were sitting there talking, and she started being getting all aggressive after this. And so I was like, all right, chill out, and shook her a little bit.
So just to recount what George said over the last 47...
Again, this is what I mean. Why would you... Because you're telling a lie. You're lying about what's happening, because this clearly didn't happen. Why would you put your... Why would you say that you put your hands on her? Why would you implicate that? Why would you implicate yourself? Why would you say, yeah, I shook her? Why would you... what's the need there? Why would you not be like, oh, yeah, if you wanted to, for whatever reason, say that you had gone to her house the day before? Yeah, I went there, but it was under the pretense of helping out someone else, or going to help her out, and then she tried to make it about our relationship, and I told her I didn't want to have anything to do with that. That is such a... I guess you're under pressure and all of that, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm disappointed he didn't get away with it, but more so, I don't know, it's just where's the lie? Why would you... Where's the self-preservation of this guy? I guess the guilt's really eating at him, but then why wouldn't he confess? I'm just so confused. What was the necessity in implicating yourself in this? What was the necessity in saying, yeah, I put my hands on her?
1 seconds.
How do you even know they're talking about what you're doing?
While being in a defensive state, she backed up against the wall. She then became aggressive. George's response to this supposed aggression was to initiate physical contact.
And she started being freaking out, and I was like, listen, I'm not here to do anything. I'm here to talk to you about everything that's ensued in the past week. And she was sort of being no, hitting her head, stop, she was in the corner, I was sitting on the bed, I was like, stop, I was we were what the hell, we were just gonna talk.
So let's go back half a minute and dissect what actually just happened there.
And so I was like, all right, chill out,
this is cool. This is well up his channel, because I didn't catch
He
this.
will now say the words, and she started being then simultaneously mimic a body colliding with the wall. He will then stop himself mid-thought and subtly modify the detail.
And she started being freaking out, and I was like, listen. And she started being freaking out.
He goes from illustrating Yardley hitting the wall to, as he states, freaking out. He seems to realize mid-sentence this isn't the best way to explain her injuries, so he changes the detail to buy himself time.
And she started being freaking out, and I was like, listen.
I don't know how, it's interesting seeing that, because I think that could have been what happened, but at the same time, it's such a subtle thing. Knowing me, sometimes I just, if I'm talking to someone and I'm focused on something, sometimes I just forget where my body is, which sounds stupid. But if I'm sitting in a chair and I'm leaning against something, or I'm, trying to shift position, that means I could collide my body against it. And that could just so happen to coincidentally align with what I'm saying. I mean, he was guilty of it, so there's no harm in seeing this and going this might have been a signifier, but... it's not damning evidence. He went to slam his body against the wall. He must be referring to the domestic abuse of his girlfriend.
I'm not here to do anything. I'm here to talk to you.
He carefully shifts the topic from Yardley to himself and keeps it there for 8 seconds before attempting to re-explain what occurred in a more self-preserving manner.
And she was like, and like, sort of like,
yeah, he's just
like, no, like hitting her head. Like,
look at how much
no jury on the planet will believe that Yardley was voluntarily slamming her head against the wall with enough force to cause fatal brain damage.
Yeah, this guy,
all George has done here is give away the fact that he knows Yardley has sustained some type of head injury and now lied on record about how it was inflicted.
I was like,
get Joe Goldberg in it, man. Like he'd be able to lie as well.
Like, what the hell? Like, we were just gonna talk, and like, it was not at all like a good conversation, because that's like, she was already like freaking out with just even seeing me there.
Okay.
Okay. What happened next?
What happened next? And she just kept hitting her head against the
He still hasn't. Give him a second. He still hasn't worked out what comes next.
She was on the bed, and I was like, I grabbed her and I like shook her. I was like, stop! Like, we need to like, and looked at her. I was like, we need to like talk about this. And like, I mean, I was on holding her arms and stuff, but like, I never struck her. I never like hit her like in the face or anything. I was just like, we need to talk. And she was so like, oh, I mean, what's the word? Like, you know, like flopping a fish out of the water, like so, like all this. And I was like, listen, like, I'm not here to like fight with you or like do anything, like here to talk to you. And like, and she's like, no, like, get away from me. You have to leave, you have to leave.
He has to reiterate this 5 times because he's thinking of what the fuck to say.
Like, all this stuff. And I was like, all right, like, fine, like, but like, I want to talk to you after all that.
Now, I'm just going to pause again because I was watching it. This is around the point where I stopped and I was like, I've got to record this for the 10 views. This will get me. But think about this. He's just said, okay, I turned up because I wanted to talk to her. She didn't take it well. She started hurting herself, which is not particularly a feasible, thing that would have happened. But anyway, that's what he says. And I was like, okay, I'll leave. So he has said that the confrontation is over. It's finished. He is disengaged. That's what he said, right? Now look what happens next.
And like, I was like a little bit persistent because of the situation. My former girlfriend who...
But give it a second, it's not now.
Something happened last week, and I was like, all right, like, well, so we were like talking over there, and I mean, somehow I was resting.
Like, why? Keep in mind, again, he's making this isn't what happened. He's making up the story. So how the fuck did he go like, okay, then I disengaged, like, then I was like, all right, after this we need to talk. And now he's like, oh, actually, now I'm wrestling her on the floor. So was it like the story he was telling, he thought that was enough to convince, and then he was like, no, I've got to keep going. So somehow we're now on the floor, which isn't like entirely unrealistic, because when you're in some of those situations that are high octane and stressful, especially a physical confrontation, you're not paying attention to everything. Like, you've got a tunnel effect, you might be focusing on some aspects of it, but man, he is just digging himself a hole. And I love that the interrogator has not had to say a word for the last like 10 minutes, and he is just digging himself a hole. But he was there, he initiated physical contact, and because he's lying, it makes him look worse. Because he's lying, like, it's very clearly an attempt to get away with it rather than confess. Because if you confess, there's like a shred of dignity, there's also a shred of pity, because like, he feels bad for what he did, he regrets it, it was an awful thing, and now he needs to try and find his own redemption from it. But if he's trying to get away from it...
her on the floor, and I was just like, stop. And I was holding her.
I was a little bit persistent. I was wrestling her on the floor. All further evidence that designates George as the aggressor. He's completely shut down his ability to argue any sort of self-defense claim.
Yeah, this fucking idiot, man. Why would you do that? Oh, this is what I mean, because again, he's making the story up. Why is this the story he's choosing to tell?
And the conversation, I could tell, was just like, it was not going anywhere, and nothing was happening, and she like went back to bed, and I left, and I went back home.
Okay.
Phase 1 is now complete. The suspect has unknowingly locked himself into a storyline that will put him away for a very long time. The risk of him shutting down or requesting a lawyer is no longer a primary concern. So the interrogator will now increase the pressure. She will confront him on certain elements that she pretended to overlook before, and the ideal scenario is to cause just enough panic so that he backpedals on previous statements and contradicts himself.
All right, so you go over there, knock on the door.
Get him, Lisa. Get him, Lisa.
Her front door was open. Her room door was closed. I knocked like a yard. She heard me open the door and went in.
All right, went in where?
To her room.
All right, straight to her bedroom.
Straight to her bedroom. Yeah, I mean.
How'd you get through the door?
Her door or the front door?
Her door.
Actually, it might have been locked.
It was.
Bro, call your lawyer. Oh my god. Call your lawyer. It's done. It's over. They've got you, man. There's no way that she's asking you how you got in, and you say, yeah, it was, she let me in. And they're like, the door was locked. They already know. They already know what's fucking happened, man. Call your lawyer.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Just be honest with me.
It was locked, yeah. Because I think I put a hole.
What the fuck? Yeah, man. I think I punched through the fucking door. We went and we were amicable. That's why I put a hole through a fucking door.
You punched a hole through the door.
Pretty sure, actually, now.
Oh my god. Sorry. I haven't seen past this bit. So in a way that he's like now trying to almost save face by being like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, I did fucking deck her door in to get inside. What?
Yeah, you said that, yeah.
Oh, man.
Why'd you do that?
Well, I guess, yeah, once I was in her room, she was like very like, I don't want to talk.
Oh, because now you've admitted to putting your hands on her. The fact she's defensive makes sense now. You put your hands on her, you punched a hole through her door. It makes sense that she was being defensive with you, which means that you were persisting to be the aggressor. Oh my god. Because the way he told it was like, oh, she was being unreasonable and she was like trying to hurt herself. But now, with the real facts, he's decked through her fucking door, they haven't been speaking, and she's fucking terrified of him.
To you, like, all this stuff. And she was very, like, very on edge, like, I don't want to talk,
Okay.
I was like, listen, what you pulled last week was outrageous. Like, I just want to talk to you.
Why'd you push into it then?
A very unusual time to interrupt a suspect in such a contentious manner.
My God.
He was giving away self-incriminating information that could be used to establish a motive. He was doing exactly what the lead investigator wanted. But Detective Ed has...
Detective Ed! I've seen comments about this guy. Come on, Edward.
now stopped him in his tracks. It's a reckless maneuver at this point in the interrogation, which Detective Reeves is no doubt conveying at this moment through nonverbal communication. She now has to let the suspect respond as to not undermine their position.
Because I want to talk to her.
Detective Reeves will now bring his guard back down through a reassuring tone and gently guide his train of thought back to his grievances with the victim. She pulls this off in 3 questions.
All right, well, continue on. That's fine. Continue on. So you're talking to her and she doesn't want to talk to you?
Not really. I mean, we talked though. Like, there was parts where we were talking and then like...
Do you know what you're talking about?
I mean, about so many different things.
Okay. Like what?
What a fucking beast. I mean, I want to praise her. I hope to God there's not some sort of like bad service record. You know how cops can be, but man, that was fucking cool.
What she did last week, went to Carolina. She went to Carolina and hooked up with someone Sunday when we were still trying to figure out things. And I was over there to talk. I was like, this is outrageous. Because I was trying to make everything better, and then she was very defensive because she knew how upset I was because I've told her through emails how upset.
Notice now, reference back to what he was doing earlier, where he would get stuck on one sentence and repeat it for 5 minutes, and that's because he's trying to think up a lie in the moment. And now he's talking about something that's genuine and real, which was as upset and as hurt that his girlfriend had slept with someone else, which apparently, according to earlier on, he had been doing as well. But the disparity in the way he speaks, the purpose he speaks with, just tells me, it immediately gives away that the first stuff he's saying isn't truthful. I mean, we already know he's punching a hole in the wall, so we already know he wasn't telling the truth. But man, the disparate, that's like so fucking tangible to see. The way he speaks about the lie is so evasive and non-committal and so vague. But the way he speaks about how he's felt about Yardley and his anger with Yardley is so tangibly real and so detailed. Oh my God.
Sad I was, like, about what she did. And so I was like, and I sat on the edge of it, I was like, listen, like, I want to talk to you, like, what you did was bullshit. Like, that's not, like, okay. And I was just like, and she's like, not like, you know, she's like, you know, sort of pushing everything that she did to the back burner and like talking about like, you know, like trying to like put everything that she did, like, wasn't important. It kept going to the point where she, like, I was like, listen, like, we have to figure, like, out what's going on. And she was like, I'm not talking to you. And then she, like, pushed me, like, get out of here. Like, go. And I was like, no. And, like, I was like, be like, we have to talk. Like, so, like, get, like.
When you're doing that, what are you holding on her?
On her arms.
On her arms, like maybe up here?
Like shoulders, yeah.
Shoulders.
Like,
maybe,
like,
you maybe also punching her in the face.
Come on, like, you know, and that's when she was like wiggle and like get away and like, you know, like.
You can really hit that chair, Jesus.
Get in the corner, like really like aggressive, like.
Aggressive. He was about to say aggressive. He was about to say my girlfriend was terrified in a corner and she was really aggressive. And he caught himself there. He was like, that's not the word. Fucking hell, this guy's all over the place, man.
Defensively, almost.
Oh.
And then she ended. I think she was back in bed, and I left. I was like, this is not going anywhere.
How did she get back in bed?
We were like wrestling.
Yeah, he's got to remember to include that part. He almost forgot it.
We stood up, and I tossed her. I pushed her.
Oh God, bro, why? They don't know that you did this. They don't know that you put any hands on her. They know someone punched their way into a room. So the fact God, thank God they got him, but also at the same time, like, how are you this stupid?
It was bad, like, I'll talk to you later.
Winning strategy, just have an attorney.
Did you choke her at one point? At all? Did you choke her at one point?
Bad, like, I'll talk to you later.
Did you touch her neck area at all? Did you choke her at one point?
Gave yourself away. I mean, bro, how are you taking that so calmly? Did you choke your girlfriend? God, I can't fit, like, as an innocent person, if I'm dating someone and I love them, and something awful happens to them, and the police go, did you choke your girlfriend? I'd be like, fuck you. Don't you even try and implicate that. That he's trying so hard to be amicable and reasonable that the police like him and won't go after him, that he's neglecting to emulate how a real person, a real innocent and grieving person would react to that.
I
say grieving, he doesn't know
a little bit by the neck.
Oh my God, fucking hell. This is so bad. I'm pausing so much, I didn't think it was this bad. We just went and talked. Oh yeah, I punched a hole through her door. Oh yeah, we were wrestling. Oh yeah, I shoved her on the bed. Oh yeah, actually now I think about it, I did strangle her. Fucking hell.
But I never, like, strangled her.
Okay.
But
you're conceding so much, man. Just shut up.
During the whole, like, commotion, you know, like, I might have grabbed her neck, but I never was like strangling her.
Okay.
More detail that was unknown to the investigation. The fact that he grabbed her neck can now be used as evidence. It paints a more frightening picture of the incident with relation to the suspect's aggression toward the victim. This was an extremely damaging revelation for George's defense. The discussion moves to the moment he left, and George admits that he took Yardley's laptop.
Why'd you grab her laptop?
Because I was so pissed that she wouldn't talk to me. I was like, I don't know. I like took it almost as like collateral, I guess. I don't know. It's not reasonable logic, but
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
Did you take anything else besides your laptop?
Did you take her life?
Nothing?
Like fucking hell.
I mean,
All right. So when you left out of there, I mean, you saw that she was bleeding on her nose.
She's now about to ask a question with the same implication for a second time. Notice what occurred the first time.
Did you go back and check on her at any point?
no, I did not.
Okay. Did you try to call rescue or anything to make sure she was all right?
No, I did not.
No. Why?
So he's now admitted that he gave her a bloody nose. You're a fucking idiot. Why? Why would you do that? All he had to say was, no, I wasn't there. Like, they probably would have found DNA, but fucking hell, man. I guess that was his reasoning then. He was like, they're gonna find DNA, so I have to be there at some point. But why would he not then try and argue that, like, he was there at a different time? He was there when they were speaking, and she opened the door for him. He was there, and they wanted to talk about their relationship, and they, like, had a resolution. There was so much shit he could have said. And instead he was like, yeah, it had to be a time where I went and had a physical confrontation with her. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
The face of bewilderment, if there ever was one. It's very strange that he's so taken aback by such a question, especially when you take into account the possible outcome if he had actually called for help.
One medical expert revealed in the courtroom for the very first time that following Yardley Love's brutal beating, had George Hughley or anyone else called for help, she might have survived.
I didn't think it was like, I didn't think that she was like in need of like going to the emergency room. She just got, I mean, a blood.
What do you think that?
I don't know. I mean,
God, again, like, he went, I didn't strike her, I didn't hit her, to, we were wrestling, to, I had my hands on her neck, and now he's admitting she had a bloody nose. I thought she was hitting her head, not a face on the wall. Like, there's only one way she gets a bloody nose. When you've got, bro,
Did you say when you were, and correct me
I mean,
if
it was
I'm wrong,
already
when you
over,
were
but it's
shaking her head was hitting the wall?
It's not helping his case.
well, that was in the beginning. That was initially when I walked in. Like she was like up in the corner, like saying, get out of here, like, you know, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
At any time when you were shaking her, did her head bang the wall?
Put yourself in George's position and imagine Yardley had in fact self-inflicted her injuries. You would perhaps say something along the lines of, absolutely not.
I wasn't hitting her against the wall.
You fucking idiot, bro. Turns out any idiot, all the people who go to prep schools are fucking stupid. Apparently, they're fucking evil, clearly, because they do shit like this. But my God, at any time, all my man needed to do was say no, and he was like, well, maybe.
Absolutely not.
I wasn't hitting her against the wall, but like when she's like sitting there in the corner. Mm-hmm. Of like if it were like this, and I'm like already like, you know.
Oh my God, bro! How? Yeah, we were just meeting up. It has so quickly transitioned into she was in a corner. I punched her door in. I was shaking her. I wrestled against her. I had her by the throat. I gave her a bloody nose and I pushed her on the bed. How quickly? Fucking hell! He's clearly burdened by guilt if he's letting this run. So either he's so fucking stupid, which is, you know, apparent, but also he could just be so eaten up by guilt. But then why would you not confess?
No, like, I was like, what the fuck was that about? Like, that's such bullshit that you like do that. Like, that's such a like bullshit move. Like, what like, you know, like, ever like hitting her? Like, what are you like doing? Like that?
Never hitting her, but she had a bloody nose.
She has a pretty good knot on her head. That's why I'm asking how you can explain how that would have happened.
It's almost like if you had said that you had gone there and you had gone there earlier to talk to her. They couldn't pin it on you because all they know is that you were in the house, but they have no evidence that you beat the shit out of her. Like,
I mean,
fucking hell, this guy's so dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God he is.
Like on the side of her head, she's been hit pretty good right there. So I'm just trying to figure out, did you hit her with something?
No,
Was that her
I never touched her or struck her or anything.
Well, you touched her. You had your hands on
her.
Idiot.
I said never struck her.
Okay. So I'm gonna go through this one more time, make sure we're on the same page. So you're pretty pissed at her from a week ago for sending you text messages. Do you have those text messages where she says she, as you put it, fucked somebody?
I actually might have those, yeah.
All right, you got your phone with you?
Yeah.
And let's pull it out and scroll through it. Let's see if we can see those.
The next moment is fascinating because it symbolizes how drastically George's life is about to change. The interrogator will invade his personal space to make sure he's not deleting anything from his phone. Soon after that, she will take the phone out of his hand and place it on the table. Actions that would be completely unacceptable in almost any other circumstance.
Oh yeah, there it is. Whoa, what a fuck. I mean, I'm pretty sure they can see deleted messages anyway, right? On like some messenger apps or something. It's not, it doesn't go away forever. I'm pretty sure. That might just be a lie they spread, I don't know, but deleting messages isn't a savior thing. It's like deleting a DM. Like there's still servers it goes through. They still have records of messages that have been sent.
We didn't say them.
They were like, I guess what you call like an ongoing conversation, an ongoing like instant message, and it's gone.
Okay. I'll use that one. They don't leave that right here for right now. All right. Let's talk about how you entered. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because to have put your fist through the door.
no, it's actually my leg. I'm pretty sure.
Your leg?
Because that's why my leg's like this.
Yeah, you're right. That was your leg.
Yeah.
How'd you get all the bruising on your hand then?
This is all from lacrosse. This is all.
That's pretty fresh right there. Looks.
This is all from my lacrosse game on Saturday.
On Saturday.
I wear my arm, you can see where my arm pads are.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, and my gloves right here, and that's
even right there. I thought you wore those padded gloves.
You can't explain the knuckle, buddy. Just say I didn't have them on. I forgot my gloves. I forgot my gloves.
This is all from lacrosse.
I forgot my gloves. I didn't have my
And
padding. I shouldn't have played with it without it.
100% got whacked during the game when I was trying to kill the clock.
Mm-hmm. When you had her and you're shaking her, did she scratch you anywhere?
No.
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 She's a little girl. She's tiny.
Yeah, she did not. No, she didn't. She
didn't try to hit you or anything like that.
No.
Okay. So you kick in the door.
Yeah, that's how I entered. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I stuck my hand through and unlocked it, and went in
Fucking
there.
why? Why? Just say it swung open.
Okay.
Just say it swung open, because that's another voluntary thing you had to do. That's another. So you kicked it, and then you had to reach in to unlock the door. That just implies that you were so fucking vindicated in doing this, or so like dedicated, right? Why not just say it swung open? Because then at that point, the door's open. Like, yes, you made a conscious decision to go in, but there's something so much more deliberate about reaching in and unlocking it by hand.
The detectives leave the room for roughly 3 minutes. When they return, it appears Ed is given the chance to lead with a few of his own questions.
Oh, Edward.
I know we touched about what happened last night, but set it up for me, lead it up to me a little bit here. Why did you guys break up exactly? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, we are not from the same area.
Right.
And she wants to move to New York, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing yet, but I'd like to move to San Francisco.
Why'd you take her computer?
I don't know. I have no idea.
There's maybe because there's evidence on the computer, emails that you sent?
No, there's no. I mean, you can read all the emails and everything back and forth.
Detective Ed now asks George if he held Yardley down on the bed. He's trying to subtly set the grounds for an argument of smothering, which isn't a terrible idea, but would be disproven by the autopsy regardless.
No.
Did you fall down on top of her? Rest on the
We
bed?
were wrestling on the ground for like a little bit.
Did y'all wrestle on the bed at all?
No, I never I shook her.
No, I mean just kind of hold her down until she calmed down on the bed.
No, if anything that. If anything that would have been like on the floor. When we were on the floor, when her nose started bleeding, we were like wrestling around.
So okay, so maybe he genuinely doesn't know she died. Like he definitely hit her enough to kill her, but again, how could her nose start bleeding if I don't think a couple of knocks to the side of the head makes your nose bleed. Your nose bleeds if, you get punched in the fucking face. So, again, he could have avoided all of this if he just said he went at another time and they were fine.
No, I mean...
Was she screaming?
No, she wasn't, no. She was not screaming.
What happened to the 5 times she said you need to leave then?
Actually.
I mean, if I'm cracking my head in the wall, I'm gonna be saying, "Ow."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, she was not screaming.
Yeah.
She should have been.
What the fuck? This guy. Yeah, she should have been. What the fuck are you doing?
Probably, I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
She should have been. Probably, I mean, maybe.
Oh my god, the
maybe.
reaction.
Yeah.
She should have been. Probably, I mean, maybe.
She's like, what the fuck?
Maybe. I don't know.
Why do you think she should have?
I don't know. I mean, well, she was screaming when I first, like, came into the room. And she was like, no, like, I'm not talking to you. Like, get the fuck out of here. All that. But, like...
At any point, before you said you, and this was your words, you said you tossed her on the bed and then you left.
Yeah.
All right. At any point before that, did she lose consciousness?
No.
Okay. What happened after you tossed her on the bed? Did she move? Talk about, say something?
I mean, I literally tossed her on the bed and turned around and...
Tossed her on the ground or tossed her on the bed?
And
Tossed her on the bed.
walked out the door.
Okay. So when you tossed her back on the bed, in your mind, she was bleeding, but you said she was bleeding out her nose, and you didn't feel like you needed to call rescue?
No.
After that, after banging her head and
No,
shaking her and blood coming out her nose on the floor?
No. There's nothing about like...
you missed anything that you want to ask him right now?
There's nothing about like going to get anything or going, you know. I don't know why I took the computer.
George rambles about why there was no reason for taking the laptop for another 20 seconds, during which time Detective Reeves decides that enough information has been attained.
Oh,
Phase 2 is now complete, and the fate of Yardley is about to be revealed. These moments in interrogations are considered important for the purpose of gauging a suspect's response. It's believed that a sharp and sudden revelation can make it difficult to fabricate emotion. So in theory, this will cause a suspect to provide either a genuine response or a relatively obvious disingenuous response, which often comes in the pretense of shock or remorse.
I mean, I guess that's where my logic was at, but which is...
Well, I have to tell you something.
I think I know why you took the computer.
Oh my god, shut up, Ed! Oh.
In the midst of what would have been a flawlessly executed moment, Detective Ed jumps back into the laptop mystery.
Guy.
The suspect has essentially confessed to murder. This really wasn't the time for regurgitated conjecture over a petty theft misdemeanor, which Ed was clearly being advised of once again through nonverbal communication.
Why do you think?
You all right?
Go ahead.
No? She's dead. You killed her, George.
Oh! Where's the...
You killed her.
She's dead?
I think you knew that already.
No, I did not.
In our opinion, George is being truthful here, and we believe the interrogator feels the same way in this moment.
She's dead? How the fuck is she dead?
Because you killed her, George.
How the fuck is she dead?
Because you killed her.
George appears to be going through a delayed response. It's so foreign a revelation that it's yet to sink in. Once the shock settles, he refuses to accept it, and this denial appears to be a momentary coping mechanism before the reality of the situation truly hits him, which will happen at this time in the footage.
Oh no.
Oh my god. She's dead?
Yes.
She's dead?
Yes.
She's dead?
She's dead.
How? How?
I already told you how. You already told us how as well.
How is she dead?
You just told us.
Oh my god.
You went in there to talk with her, but it got out of control, right, George?
The detectives will now add further pressure to keep him talking. Suspects will often divulge information in these moments in the panicked attempt to save themselves, and in doing so can shut down a more credible storyline they haven't thought up yet.
The alcohol got a hold of you. You kicked in her door. She started to fight with you. You punched her in the head, or you cracked.
She's not dead.
You cracked her
She's
head.
not dead.
You
She's
cracked her
not
head in
dead.
the window or in the wall.
not dead.
She is.
She's not dead.
I ain't BSing you right now. It's serious.
I want to see her. She's
George,
not
look
dead.
at me.
George.
She is dead.
You were not here to dance with us. You're here because she's dead. The alcohol.
I don't believe it. I don't believe
It's
it.
true.
Dude, I didn't. I don't believe that she's dead. I don't believe that she's dead. I don't believe that she's dead.
Did you punch her? Did you hit her?
There's no way she's dead. She's not dead. I didn't.
I do actually
I never
believe this.
did anything. I did not.
All right, let's calm down.
I did not like hurt her. Like she's not dead.
Let him calm down.
Just out of protocol, what we gotta do is stand up for me, George. Go ahead, put your hands behind your back for me. Turn.
Relax. It's all right.
Relax. You'll be alright.
Tell me she's not dead. Tell me she's not dead, though. Please. Will you tell me she's not dead?
Relax.
Please, will you tell me
You know what? I wish I could tell you that, George. 22-year-old. 22. And her life is done.
She's not. I did not do anything like that. Oh my God. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. I do not believe it. I do not believe it. There's no way. There's no way she could be dead.
Either the head trauma or asphyxiation.
There was no asphyxiation.
Okay.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
What was she doing the last time you saw her?
She was like standing up with me. She was standing up with me. She was standing up.
I thought she was in bed. Like,
Was she standing or you were holding her?
She was standing up looking at me.
Okay.
She's not dead. I know she's not dead. I know 100 million % she's not dead. I did.
fucking hell. Wow.
She cannot be dead.
I know we got out of hand, George.
No, it didn't. It did not. It didn't. And she's like, no, like, get away from me. You have to leave. You have to leave. I was like a little bit persistent. I
Was she screaming?
she should have been. I didn't
Fucking
kill her.
hell.
I didn't leave. I didn't.
It's hard to sympathize with that
Oh
clip,
my
is it?
God. I didn't kill her. I did not kill her. I did not kill her. I did not. There's no way I didn't do it. No way. No way. I want a lawyer. I don't believe this. I don't believe this. No, there's no way. There's no way. There's no fucking way. So, should I talk to someone?
Who do you want to talk to?
Anyone. A lawyer.
One will get appointed to you.
Okay, what do I do now? Go to jail?
Yeah.
All right, George, right now, I know you no longer want to talk to us. That's fine. Just let you know something. We're working on a search warrant right now. And what it is we're going to have to collect some stuff from you, like what's called a buccal swab. Okay?
Why did you guys come in and say you were searching for an assault?
I never said anything about an assault.
Someone came in.
Bro, that's why he was so willing to tell on himself, man. He didn't mishear anything, but in his head it was like, it's about an assault. He completely imagined they were asking about this.
I never mentioned to you anything. Just told you we're investigating something. Wanted to know.
Investigating so.
Do you want me to call anybody for you, George?
At the start of this video, you were asked to think of what you would do in this situation.
Lawyer, immediately.
Really try and imagine what would be going through your mind in this moment, as you might just gain a restorative outlook from both knowing the answer while not having to answer this particular question. But there is, of course, no possible way you will gain anything close to the newfound perspective George has acquired in this moment, which unfortunately for him is no longer of use.
Want me to call your dad?
This is, you call it Mom.
Your mom? Is that who you'd like me to call?
Can I talk to her?
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk to her?
I don't know about that. What's your mom's name?
Oh my God.
What's her number?
301-96.
Okay.
How?
Did you want me to call your dad? Or just her?
She will tell her.
Mm-hmm.
She can tell her everything.
Okay.
How? I don't believe it. How there's no way she's gonna be dead. There's no way.
Calm down.
There's no way. There's no way. There's no.
George, go ahead, put your foot down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
These next few moments are a turning point. The leg irons seem to initiate a shift in his constitution, and his denial will completely cease from this point forward. He will continue to ask why and how, but he will no longer reject the severity of what is happening.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
He's just emotionally fatigued now, man. Can't cry no more.
Huh. Heck of a day, bud.
Fellas, how are you this morning?
Man.
Am I in here the rest of my life?
I'm sorry?
Am I in here the rest of my life?
In this room?
No, in jail.
I don't know.
Not a bad guy, man.
Never said you were, bud.
Call my mom.
Life is stress-free if you don't kill
Call my
anyone.
mom.
No, I know. Yeah, you do want to talk to her. Now's when you need your family the most, bud. You know?
Come on. I'm saying it for the last 5 minutes like, Jesus Christ, this is visceral. And then it's like, he's like, true that, man. What the fuck? True, bro. Jesus Christ. What a guy, what a G. I believe. I mean, I don't fucking like him. I do believe that this is genuine, because I don't think anyone's in the room right now, and he's saying this to himself.
George was taken to the regional jail soon after this moment. He would go on to plead not guilty to murder and was held without bond for almost 2 years awaiting trial. It began on February 6, 2012.
Well, testimony is now underway in the murder trial of the former UVA lacrosse player accused of killing his ex-girlfriend.
For the first time, we have video of Hughley as he was led into the courtroom.
Contrary to his appearance in the days that followed his arrest for the murder of 22-year-old Yardley Love, he appeared pale, frail, and gaunt.
The prosecution presented a case that Hughley went to Love's apartment that night, busted through her bedroom door, and in some way struck her, causing blunt force trauma, which led to her death.
We've also learned that on that night, George Hughley was exchanging what were described as playful text messages with 3 other women. Those messages continued late into the night and even after the alleged attack.
Throughout this trial, Hughley has sat expressionless, almost stoic at the defense table. All of that changed today. As this police interview was airing, Hughley began crying, was often pinching the bridge of his nose with his hands and looking down as he listened to the sound of his own hysterical voice. I did not kill her. I did not kill her. I did not.
In court Tuesday, Hughley's defense faced an uphill climb.
The most riveting testimony came from former UNC lacrosse player Michael Burns, who testified that one time while visiting UVA, he heard some yelling for help from Hughley's apartment. When he opened the door, he said he found Hughley with his arm wrapped around Love's neck, choking her. Hughley then let her go, and she ran out of the room crying.
A variety of medical experts took the stand this Wednesday, and they all seemed to agree that Love's death was the result of blunt force trauma to the head. This was followed by highly distressing witness testimony from Yardley's neighbors.
The noise was so loud, this was such a violent death that they heard it downstairs, 2 separate witnesses, and it sounded like a stereo crashing to the ground.
And it certainly didn't help that the jury knew that she was alive for 2 hours before she died, indicating that if George Hughley had come to his senses, he could have gone back there, called 911, and possibly saved her life.
Still, the driving argument for the defense is that George Hughley never intended to kill. They say this was all a tragic accident, that he does not deserve a life sentence, but instead a lesser charge and a second chance.
Guilty of second-degree murder, and you will hear the sentence momentarily.
A 26-year prison term came down.
George Hughley was brought to court to hear his lawyers plead for the judge to cut in half the 26-year sentence recommended by the jury. Judge Edward Hogshire did trim it back, but by just 3 years.
The jury in this case recommended 26 years. The judge changed it to 23, probably a small difference, but why would he do that?
It's surprising, isn't it, considering this is a woman who was beaten to death in her own bed.
We think that George was convicted of a crime inconsistent with the facts, and he received a penalty inconsistent with what the evidence would require.
There are no winners in this case.
With credit for the time that George Hughley has already served in jail, and if he gets time off for good behavior, he could be out in 18 years. And the family for Yardley Love has put out this statement saying, "We find no joy in other sorrow. We are relieved to put this chapter behind us."
As for George, he was incarcerated at the maximum security Augusta Correctional Center for 10 years, and has since been transferred to a prison work camp in Richmond, where he's expected to serve out the rest of his sentence. The present consensus in the media is that George had no intention of killing Yardley, but that his 23-year sentence is still appropriate, if not lenient, and that him being drunk to any degree at the time of the murder is not an excuse, nor does it lessen the culpability of his actions to any extent. He'll be released at the age of 45, meaning he will have a second chance at life Yardley was never afforded. You can decide for yourself whether he deserves it or not.
I think he's a piece of shit. I think, it doesn't matter if you don't intend for someone to die. Beating your girlfriend is fucking disgusting. Beating a partner is disgusting behavior. Like, you can be mad that someone was cheating on you, but to have done that, by the way, I'm pretty sure for all we know, this is one time she did it. To have done that, because, being unfaithful is a massive betrayal in a monogamous relationship, but to have beaten her to death, and then, even after the crime, resumed texting and flirting with 3 other women, he deserves to be in jail, brother. He's a fucking threat to society. He can't control himself. He needs to go to jail. What I don't agree with is the work camps, because the fucking work camps are just slave labor from prisoners, and I don't fucking agree with it. But 23 years, it sounds about fucking right. But he's a disgusting piece of shit for that. That was awful. That was... My God. But again, you see what I mean, right? Like, not only is that such a disgusting thing to do to someone, it's not just disproportionate, it's evil. Think of the life he had ahead after uni. Think of the sport. He could have been a sporting star, right? And he threw that away because he was just such a relentless piece of shit. My God, what a video. I love JCS stuff. It's great. I am tempted to watch another one, but I think I'm gonna have to call it here. Because otherwise, I am never... What's the time? Let's see. What's the time? Hold on. 6 o'clock. Oh, I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted to watch it. It's 53 minutes. Oh, I can't. We're going to call it here. Yeah, I love this channel. Go watch it. I'm saying it like they're a small channel. They're fairly big. They put a lot of effort into what they do. They really go in depth. And I think for this one, watch this one. This one is this one is both hilarious and extremely frustrating. This one. Go watch this one. It came out recently, 18 hours ago actually. Look how many views it got in 18 hours. Jesus, wow. I think if you divide that, it's like 100,000 views an hour. Very good. But yeah, it's a channel that absolutely deserves the support. It goes really in depth. For this one in particular, I'm pretty sure they actually got donated footage by a legal firm, something. So it's great. But I might do this again if I feel like it. I'm going home tomorrow, so probably not. I don't like recording when I'm with family. But yeah, thank you all for watching. And I sincerely hope you go and check these guys out. And I sincerely hope you will go and check out the video essay I made on them. It's not my best stuff, but it's a video I did enjoy a lot making. I made it almost 2 years ago now. But anyway, I'll let you get on. I have assignments to do. So, yeah. Bye-bye.